We are back for our final night of social interview scheduled tonight.
Yes, we do. Thanks to the outpour of support for Kelsey May, quite a few of you guys went on and pound Save Kelsey'd us. We were able to rearrange our schedule a little bit and fit her in tonight as a last-minute addition after Ali Bavarian.
So we got a triple header tonight, starting with Erik Thomas. We'll be inviting him in about 9 minutes, then followed by Ali Bavarian, and then we'll have Kelsey with the makeup interview tonight. This is also our last sales end at midnight tonight. Now, going into this campaign, our entire plan was to lay out our case for social filmmaking. Show you guys over the course of the 45 days what you can get from social filmmaking, little examples of each bit of social filmmaking, kind of be a demonstration. And then at the end of it, if you wanted to support us and wanted to jump on board with what we were doing, we were putting our faith into, one, giving you value first, and two, giving you an entertainment and getting to know us before you decided to jump on board and support the campaign. But if you really like what you've seen so far with the social casting and everything else that we're doing, now's the time to jump on board and grab one of our perk packages that we're going to have with special discounts up until midnight tonight. And also there are 2 perks that will expire that will no longer be available with those perk packages after today.
Ooh, what perks would those be?
One is our original conspirator t-shirt. I believe on the little bar on the side here, you can see pictures of the t-shirt and the other one is a special private meet and greet with us, the filmmakers, through Google Hangouts, where we have one that wouldn't be live streamed for everybody else. It would just be us to chat and talk, and you get to know more about us and more about the project, and we get to hear your thoughts and what we're doing and what you think we could add.
And if you are very interested in the social casting process of our social filmmaking plan, there is an add-on perk available where you could be our casting consultant. You'd be able to have a Google Hangouts with us and discuss all the actors that you've seen, who you think would be the best so far, and pretty much pitch your case on why you think that they should be picked over everyone else.
Yep.
That can be anytime now, all the way through the 4th round period. So up until we make that decision, that option is going to be available. As soon as we announce after the 4th round who we are picking, that option will also expire.
And you'll also get a casting consultant credit in the final version of the film. And I wouldn't mind having a few people to chat with for a half hour or so, and I guarantee we'll probably run over as long as you're interested in talking. But I'd love to be able to hash it over with each of our fans and one at a time and find out what you think and really get into the details of each of the actors and why you like the ones that you do. So I'm looking forward to at least a couple people chatting.
What we've been doing so far is reminding everybody that if you support an actor, please let us know. Go to the comments, go to the YouTube comments, the Google Plus comments, our Twitter, our Facebook, Instagram, Google Plus page, anywhere you can think of, and team whatever actor you want. Right now, we have an overflow of people voting for Michael, which is great. Michael, good job on having a great support system.
Team Michael's got a
Congratulations.
It's funny because Team Michael has been the dominant on Facebook, and Team TK is crushing it on Twitter. They've got Twitter. Nobody's kind of come at us yet on Instagram. We're looking for some. That's the way in. If there's another actor or favorite that you have so far, and you want to sneak in the back door, Instagram's looking for some hashtags.
And it is okay to like more than one actor. It is okay.
Oh, I prefer you like 3 actors, because when you just have one hashtag that you're supporting, it's family support, it's friend support, it's great. We're all for that. But we want you to also look at the other actors and who you might like to see your friend be cast with, who you think they would have.
Who compliments them the best.
Exactly. So we want you to have a triple hashtag, ideally, one for each role on who you really want to see.
Your ideal Just Drive combination?
Yep.
Ooh.
Your casting trinity.
But one thing we want to make sure everyone understands is that in this process, there is a possibility that 1 or 2 of the roles might not get cast through this process. We want everyone who's been along to work We've enjoyed everyone's talent so far. They've done amazing auditions. That's how they've gotten here so far. But we do need to make sure that the chemistry is going to be perfect, because this is just 3 roles in a film for 90 minutes.
We've all got our asses on the line for it.
So we want to make sure that it fits just perfectly. And if for some reason 1 or 2 roles does not get filled, that does not mean that the actors that we have had so far are not amazing. It means we will probably try and use them in a future project. That's probably what will happen.
So tonight, if you have any questions, comments, you'd like to join in, you can get at us at Twitter at JustDriveMovie. We have a Google Plus Q&A. If you're watching on Google Plus, there's a Q&A button. We've been giving away free $5 VOD perks for anyone that asks a question through the VOD or through the Q&A button. You get a VOD of the film once it comes out, and you also get to vote in our charity give back on who the campaign supports with the crowdfund campaign and the finished film. So if you have any questions out there, philosophy questions, filmmaking questions, acting questions, we're open to any kind of questions you have. We've got about another minute before we invite Erik here. Andrew, any kind of thoughts so far on the social casting process and all the actors now that we're wrapping up here in the final day?
I think the next round is going to be the hardest, because we're only picking 3 actors for each of the rounds, for each of the roles to go on, and then we're going to have them do chemistry reads. And right now, we like so many of the actors. They're all doing amazing. They all have a different take on the character, and we like every interpretation that they have so far. So we would definitely like to have the social aspect of the social casting, where you all start giving us more suggestions, more advice, more anything, feedback.
We're getting great engagement and great feedback. It's going to be really hard to narrow it down, especially with the Jeremy role. That one is really stressing me right now that we're going to have to narrow it down just to go on to the 4th round. What we're going to do here on how we're going to announce the 4th round, so everybody knows and how to root and support over the next week here, is between now and next week, each day we're going to announce another actor that will be going on to the 4th round. We'll be announcing it for 1 role a day, such as we'll start with 1 Jeremy actor, the next day will be a Sasha actor, the next day will be a Tony actor, and then we'll repeat that up until a week from, what's today, Tuesday? Tomorrow's Wednesday? A week from tomorrow, next Wednesday, at which time we'll announce the final 3, 1 for each role on that Wednesday, and then round 4 will begin preparation for at that point in time. But that's how we're going to do it over the next week. So at any point in time, because there's that final 3 on next Wednesday, your favorite actor, your person can make the cut and they can survive. But we're going to slowly reveal the names, starting with the ones that we feel are definite obvious. The crowd's on board, we're on board with. We're going to get them going. And so that'll give the people who maybe don't have the biggest social followings a little bit more time on that back end to rally the crowd and slip them in on the final day.
Let's invite Erik.
All right.
It is 6 o'clock.
Let's see if we can get a streak of first invite contact. What?
Typing his last name. Sorry, everybody. Slight delay. This is not counting against Erik in any way. Yeah. Now that Erik is probably ready to go. There we go. Found him.
All right. Invite is
sent. 6:01. The official first minute our delay. We got a little. We were talking, you guys. That's what it was. We were enjoying talking to you and telling you what was going to be happening for the next week, and we had the time go by rather quickly. So, Chris, why don't you tell everyone why exactly we're giving back to charity?
Because we're looking to the community and social support for the project. So we figured if we're going to ask you guys to help crowdfund the film, we have a social debt to pay forward. There may not be an investor that gets paid back, but we borrowed that money, we asked for that money, you guys gave us that money to make a film, we should pay that forward to society. So we chose the way to do that is to give it back to a charity that everybody on the team and everybody that backs and supports the project chooses to benefit. So we still get our art and our film and get to tell our story. You still get your entertainment, and the proceeds that went to go to make it are paid forward to a charity of everybody's choosing. And the way that'll break down, while we got an extra minute here, is once the campaign is finished, 10% of the money raised will immediately go to the charity chosen by all of our backers, and then the remaining funds will go towards developing and completing the film. Whatever that amount is, for example, if we hit our $100,000, $10,000 will go immediately to the charity. The other $90,000 will go towards making the film. Once the film is done, that $90,000 will be paid forward to our charity that the original 10% went to. And that's how we're going to repay our debt to make this film.
So if you have any suggestions about any children's charities, foundations, causes, programs, please let us know on Twitter or on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google+, LinkedIn. That works too.
Get at us.
We are just about everywhere. Can you think of anywhere else? I think Periscope is the one place we haven't yet, but we might be exploring that.
No.
Because we are going to be an incredibly interactive social media networking platform.
We don't go to Periscope.
Oh.
You know why I don't go to Periscope?
People who are watching us on YouTube, do you also go to Periscope?
I don't buy into Periscope.
Question and answer and comment section too.
Because Periscope tried to act like they have this great big new, you can live stream from your phone, live app and all this other great stuff. But Ustream had the same product 3-4 years ago. So no, Periscope, I will not buy into your marketing.
Oh. All right then.
Uh-oh.
Then you will not find us on Periscope.
Are we gonna?
I just sent an email letting him know that we had just sent it and to please go to the alternate route that we had sent earlier.
We now have an alternate backup route for everybody.
We Googled it. Yes, we did. After we had 2 in a row issues with Sarah Murphy on Sunday night and then Kelsey, we decided to Google and see what could possibly be wrong when everyone else had been able to make it work. And we found a couple possibilities, but we also found a back way of making sure that they don't need the invite necessarily, but they do still need to be logged into Google+. So we've sent along instructions and special backlinks, and we are hoping that that will make sure that we don't have any more issues. We will give the special congratulations to Romello last night. He was the first one to connect right away off the very first invite.
Yep.
And he did it off of his phone and his computer at the same time. That was awesome. We had like a double screen effect. Oh. Hello!
Hey, how are you guys?
We're good. Hey, how are you? Yay, Erik made it.
Well,
can you hear us? Okay, I'm going to sit back. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can kind of hear you, but it feels like there might be a little bit of a lag.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it might take a second. So how's everything going? How's your day so far?
Day is great. Just caught a yoga class and then caught up on some work and stuff like that. So
nice. Any projects or anything you're working on right now?
There's a feature film that we're shooting called Wolfric. It's a horror movie, and we filmed a few day shots last weekend, and then this weekend we're doing night shoots.
That's a whole lot better to shoot night in LA in the summer. It must be so hot. Oh my God, how'd you keep the makeup on?
I mean, luckily during the day we're indoors, so like we could shoot that during the day and stuff like that. It wasn't a big deal, but yeah, the night shoots are exterior shots, so thank goodness for that, right?
Can you say anything about the project or what the story's about?
I'm on a NDA, so I'm not really allowed to like talk
Okay,
about.
we
Well, when
understand.
it comes out, we'll be happy to let everyone else know what it was when you're allowed to talk about it. So, how long have you been in
Been up
LA?
to?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just asking what you guys have been up to today.
Final day of launch deals. Still following up with press, trying to get the ball rolling as much as possible. Doing all the back from each one of the interviews. Then we got to do the editing on some things and the hashtags and spreading it around. And just keeping the ball rolling.
Rescheduled one of the actors
Yep.
who wasn't able to make her interview, so we had to
Right.
scramble to reschedule that. Oh yes.
Well, it's good. Good thing.
Exactly. So, are you originally from Los Angeles?
No, I actually grew up in Nebraska.
What part of Nebraska did you grow up in?
Omaha.
Really? That is hilarious. We have quite a few people from the Midwest in this one.
Yeah.
This is fun. My parents
Yeah.
are from Iowa, so they're like about an hour and a half away from Omaha. I'm like, I'm
Awesome.
Yes.
How long have you been out here for?
I've been here for about 3.5 years. After I graduated college, I moved to Denver, and I lived there for a couple years. Absolutely love it. It's a fantastic city, very clean, very outdoorsy and active, hiking and all that good stuff. The mountains are amazing. But eventually, kind of something gave, and I was like, I really want to act, and Denver's not really a great market for that. And B, kind of got sick of driving around in snow. Having to clean up your car is rough.
Yeah, that's why I left Buffalo. I couldn't take any more winters.
Yeah, so I like visiting winter, snowboarding, and all that good stuff, but not a huge fan of like living in it and having to walk around in slush.
For your tires.
That's what Big Bear's for.
Exactly. I went up to Big Bear with a friend in like February, Marchish, and they had like chain laws being enforced, and there was nothing. There was no snow. It was like a light dusting. And I was like, I used to drive around like in 1.5 feet of snow with no tire chains. So
yeah, they take it a little more seriously. I think, you know what I realized when I moved out here from the Midwest? They don't have all weather tires. Like in the Midwest, your tires normally come with a thicker tread because you have weather for all seasons. But when I came out here, when I got the first like oil change and everything, the guy looked at my tires. He's like, I've never seen tires like this. I'm like, what kind of tires do you have? And he showed me, and they looked like they were bald almost. I was like, well, that makes sense now that you all freak out when it rains, and if you go up in the mountains, you don't know how to drive because your tires literally are just spinning on everything.
Right. Yeah. It's harder for them to cut through.
So if we start a tire company out here, we could sell all-weather tires and clean up.
Market, but it'll work. It'll work.
It would.
So when did you know you wanted to be an actor? Like kind of go off in that sense before or after you moved out here?
It's funny. So I growing up in the Midwest, kind of very like family and career oriented kind of mindset. And when I went through college, I did a bunch of acting in high school, college. I was in shows since I was in like 5th grade. We did an Alice in Wonderland production, and I always loved it. I always had so much fun with it. And then it's kind of like in the Midwest, it's almost kind of like a mindset where like, all right, you're growing up, time to get serious. And so when I was in college, I started a major in political science. And then, from there, I was going to offshoot to law school. And then after law school, maybe work a couple years as like a corporate business lawyer or something like that. I was thinking of like international business law because I love to travel. And then going into politics. So that's why it's kind of funny about the character of Tony because, I totally was like in the mindset of like, want to do the right thing and be like that, one beacon of light type guy in politics. But then after I spent 2 years in Denver, I worked in a corporate job, and I just kind of, I was actually slated to go to law school at CU Boulder. And I just kind of, I realized that, you know, it's not exactly where my heart was in. And I really just wanted to do something with my life that I thoroughly enjoyed. And so I put in my 2 weeks notice at my job, and on my last day of work, 2 weeks later, I called my parents and I was like, hey, just want to let you guys know I'm quitting and I'm moving to LA. And they went through a slew of like, wait a sec, what are you doing? When, you know, you got such a great job, you got so much PTO, you got all your health and care and all that kind of covered.
Your phone calls.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So they were worried about me. They're like, you're going to go live off sandwiches and, you
Was one
know,
of their
be poor.
concerns that you were going to move back home? Like at some
What's that?
point, like, and was one of their concerns that you might have to move back home with them? Where they're like, we already got you out of the house. We don't want you coming back.
Exactly. That's kind of the concern in the Midwest of like, you know, John and Susan's kid moved out to LA to try and act, and a year later he's living in their basement again, type thing. You know, it's the story you always kind of hear. And
But mom and
so,
dad have great furnished basements. They really shouldn't spruce them up if they don't want you to crash there when things don't go right. Come on.
I know. Well, my parents' house was nice because like my bedroom was kind of almost like a standalone apartment because it was the upstairs bedroom and there was an upstairs bathroom and there was nothing else upstairs. So it was like I was the only one who needed to go upstairs for anything.
Great.
I know. When I was in high school, it was a dream. But so I mean, the conversation kind of like revolved and ended with them being like, well, you know, don't you at least have to put in your 2 weeks notice so that you can think about it first? And I was like, I actually did that 2 weeks ago. So today was my last day. So, and it was kind of strategic. I didn't want anybody to try and like talk me out of it or anything like that. I knew what I wanted to do. And so, yeah, so, you know, after the last day, I kind of tied up loose ends in Denver, and about 3 or 4 weeks later, packed up what I could fit in my car and moved out to LA.
Did you have friends or any family out here?
I didn't know a single person out here. My oldest brother lives down in San Diego. But
Still a couple hours away. Like that's not close where you
no,
have
it's really not.
Yeah.
I know. It's you know, it's a couple hours if you're lucky and there's no traffic. So and so I mean we've had difficulty. We've just been trying to schedule some time because my birthday was last Sunday the 26th, and so he's been trying to, you know.
Yeah,
What's that?
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, he's been trying to schedule some time to come up here or me to, you know, make it down there, and it's hard when you got to consider like, you know, you could be on the road for 2-3 hours, and then, you know, when you want to try and go back home and stuff like that, you know, you got to try and drive like late at night or super early in the morning. Otherwise you get caught with all the commuter traffic.
Oh yes. If it isn't everyone on their way to work, is everyone else who is just visiting and also trying to get back home.
So,
Exactly.
how was your first year out here? What did you do to survive? How fast did it take you to get up and stable?
You know, honestly, my focus my first year was never really even kind of trying to break into the business. I didn't do nearly as much as I should have, like for my career, because my focus my first year was to survive and create some sort of perpetual sustainability. So the whole thing I ever did was I figured out what kind of gigs I could do and still keep, you know, a pretty, you know, loose schedule and sort of thing without having to get, you know, a 9-to-5 job, without having to get a restaurant or bartending job. I'd worked in a restaurant and a bar for 4 years through college, and like I loved it. It was a great experience, great job. But I have a lot of friends who work for like corporate restaurants, and they say that it's miserable. So I got lucky. Mine was privately owned, so everybody was so great. But I really just wanted to make sure that I wouldn't have any sort of issues with like income was the reason I had to leave.
Yeah.
I wanted to give myself, you know, fair shake, not have any sort of time constraints, and just be able to sustain myself and what I love to do and my passion. And, you know, if it was slow to make money through acting jobs for the first year or two, I wanted to make sure that I had enough money that I could continue to work until, eventually the acting jobs could supplement my income and then maybe replace my income. So it was just acting that I was getting paid from. So, yeah, so the first year was just kind of focused on finding those good survival jobs and tweaking that lifestyle. So I found the happy medium and being able to stick to my career for the long haul. Did I lose you guys?
Nope.
Did we lose you?
Oh, I can hear you again, but you guys are still frozen.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it happens from time to time.
All right. And like I sat back. Can you see if we can see you?
So, what do you remember what the first audition you went on was?
If I turn it off and on, will that work?
Where did this catch up?
Oh, okay.
You guys are moving.
Okay, good.
Do you remember what the first audition you went on when you finally started auditioning?
I remember the first thing I booked, which was honestly, it was like within the first like few months, I think like within the first like 3 to 4 months I was out here, it was some small regional commercial for a company that does like outsourcing. So like it's like a focused call center in the US for like credit card companies or customer service centers and stuff like that want to outsource to receive those calls. And it's like a company that's based in like the Southeast. So I know that the commercial like aired out in like the Southeast region.
Mm-hmm.
So that was honestly one of the first things I remember auditioning for, because I booked it, I think was the main reason I remember auditioning. Yeah.
If there's anybody watching, you want to ask questions for Eric or ourselves, you can tweet us at JustDriveMovie, or there's a Q&A button if you're watching on Google+. You can just hit the Q&A button, send us a question. One of the things that we've been asking everybody, Eric, is your thoughts on the social filmmaking process from your perspective, being out here 3 years. I'm sure you've gone on plenty of auditions and things like that. So what did you think of it from that perspective?
I'm sorry, I lost part of that. The perspective of what process?
The way that we've been holding the auditions and the whole the process of there being multi-rounds and it being as social and live streaming and trying to be more socially interactive with it, which is pretty much the opposite of what most actors do, and you just go in for one audition,
right,
and then you wait and hope. From this point of view, what are your thoughts on the process so far? Like good, bad, everything. We want to know from you, is there anything that you didn't like, all the above?
I mean, I think it's a very refreshing take on auditioning. I know that it's not uncommon for audition process to last 2-3 rounds or whatever, with initial reads, and then read with maybe some producers and the writer, and then maybe some on-screen chemistry tests and that sort of thing. So that wasn't very throwing me off or new or anything like that. I do enjoy the option of opening up to social casting so that people can kind of engage in the process of casting and throw in their hat and their vote. I think that's a very interesting idea for the 21st century. I think it creates a lot of extra work for you guys.
That it does.
I do think it's awesome, the way you guys are incorporating all the social media, doing like the Google Hangouts and interviews with all the actors, so that people can kind of get to know like who we are and a little bit of our lives, our perspectives, and our personalities. I think that's amazing. My only worry is that it becomes kind of like a popularity contest, as opposed to like who's going to bring the most truth and honesty and justification to the role. But I mean, I feel like eventually that will shine through, and people will realize, this person's got a lot more followers, but this person's really kind of embodying the essence of who this character is, or the vision that we would see him as it was written, and that kind of thing. So, I honestly, it's very, I don't know if anybody else has done it, but you guys are pioneers, and I have a lot of respect for you and the extra work it probably creates for your whole casting process.
Well, from our side, we graciously appreciate you guys all being kind of open to it and being such great sports with the live stream and all of that, and kind of being our guinea pigs with the whole thing. But in the acting sense on the casting, and I totally just lost my train of thought on where I was going. Yeah.
But you're concerned that it was going to be a popularity contest. That is one that we were afraid that the actors that other actors would also think that it was, because it wasn't a matter of who got out there and got the most tweets, or who got everyone to say like Team Erik and put it everywhere. It was because during the production, we are going to be live streaming. There's going to be direct people able to watch at any time. So we need people who are comfortable with it, and people who are also comfortable with the fact that you're going to start getting people following you. And as part of being on the production, they're going to want to interact. And we need everyone to be, I sit too close. But we need people to be comfortable with it, but also familiar with it. And this was a way for the actors to find out themselves, do they even like that? Because it doesn't feel humble. And, it sounds silly because everyone's actors, but that's what we found for most everyone is self-promotions. It feels weird to be doing it, although that is one of the things you kind of have to do as an actor, which everyone, we're, as much as actors are extroverts, they're introverts when it comes down to it. Like, you don't necessarily like boasting that you're involved in something. You would rather someone notice you're involved by your awesome skills. And having to like interact and let people know this is something I'm doing almost feels weird, but that's at first. And we were trying to make it that we also supported you guys and tried to put out the word so you didn't feel like you were tooting your own horn, but we also were tooting a giant horn behind you.
It was never a popularity contest, but we want to interact with the audience and know what they're thinking, and ideally get them to support and find favorites that they like, even beyond this project. And there's a couple of people I've talked to in that I know that they're going to be following a few of the actors in that, regardless of this project or that. They love them for their personalities and all that. So to me, it was never like let's just try to whore out to the most likes and clicks and let that decide it. It was more like, we want you to like these people and we want you to support them, but at the end of the day, we do got to find the best ones for the role. And that's why we write from the opening that there's no guarantee we'll cast anybody from this process, because we don't want to just like, this is all we had to choose from, so we forced the role.
Or this person had their friends or they paid for likes. Because heaven forbid someone gets that where they really want the role and they'll pay $100 to get 10,000 likes. Like, I love the idea, but no, like, you never need to have support. You will get support because you're awesome. But it's not supposed to be a popularity contest. It might very well be, like in the first round, someone had about 4 times as many views, but they weren't right for the role. Like, we adore the fact that they threw their hat in and that they got so much support, but when it came down to it for the movie, they just weren't going to be the right fit no matter what combination we did. So when we do the 4th round, it's our way of showing the audience that these are the people that we've chosen. Now let's see which combination could work. Or maybe there's only 2 people out of the combination that just click, and we're going to have to leave a role open. Like, there's nothing where it says we are definitely picking only people based on one thing or the other. We want everything to work well because it's a very small production. 3 people in the cast means it's got to be perfect.
And they do have to work well together and have really great chemistry.
Yes.
And we've also been open to, like, we had an idea for each of the roles going in, but we were open to different ideas or interpretations of that. And you're kind of a perfect example of that. The age range that we have for the role was more of the kind of 40s grizzled type, but you're acting in, especially the 2nd round, you did so good with the nuances and all of that the age kind of disappeared, and we started asking ourselves, like, can we age him up? Is this something?
Is it as necessary as we thought? for the story and the character to have him be that much older, as opposed to 45s. He could be 37, 35, maybe a little.
But
you know, it's open.
But the point I'm making is that your acting skills and how you interpreted the role and had what we were looking for superseded the age range to the point that, you know, we're willing to be flexible with that if it turns out that you're the right guy that we want to go with and the role and all of that. Which brings me to the key part of all of that. The Tony role, like we were just saying, is like the key role to all of this. It's 90 minutes on screen, totally focused on this character with the dynamics playing off of the two secondary characters. So whoever our Tony is, it's going to be imperative that they see this as kind of their star vehicle, that they see this as their leading role and want to collaborate and be involved in the project accordingly to make sure and ensure it happens, because it can benefit them just as much as anybody else on the project in regards of if it's successful.
It's totally true. And thank you so much. You guys are very sweet. I appreciate that.
So what questions do you have so far for us? Like, as the production, the story, the character, the logistics of everything, like anything that's occurred to you along the way about anything, fire away.
I mean, well, the thing I've honestly, I mean, to touch quickly too, is I also did like how you guys opened it up to kind of like a nationwide search as well, because like being from the Midwest, you know, back in the day when I was in school and stuff like that and still living in Nebraska, there were never really opportunities like that for us. I mean, putting yourself on tape was like unheard of. Like, you had to get like an actual video camera and then somehow upload it to your AOL account to send it off over a dial-up connection. So I guess I'm dating myself, but anyway,
we remember.
I really appreciate that, because I think there's a lot of lost talent that never gets to be seen because people don't have access. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's so awesome that you guys are doing that, and you're willing to sift through all the various submissions coming in from all over the US to be able to find people who have that great raw talent, who can, you know, embody this character and tell this amazing story that you guys have written. Which does bring me to, honestly, my most pressing question about your guys' production is I'm more so just kind of curious to read the whole script. And like, that's kind of, and I don't want to like put you guys on the spot to have to reveal the story. Like,
we'll be letting everybody read the script before that moves on to round 4. They'll be having the access to the whole script beforehand. Be able to read it, ask any questions, and we'll be taking a segment from the current version of the script to do as the
pages. We'll let you know after you've had a few days to read it and talk to Chris about everything about the script, like what's his motivation for every line, all that fun stuff that actors love to delve into. Chris is here to answer any and all questions. And then we will let you guys know what pages we're going to be doing for the chemistry read. So it'll be the top 3 actors for each role. And we're going to have all of you in on one giant Google Hangout. So think of it almost like an acting class. It's not competition with anyone. You're all trying to do the best that you can, and you all have different interpretations of the character, which we obviously love and can't decide upon, which is why we need the chemistry reads. So it'll be everyone round robining in different combinations to see like you with every other Sasha and every other Jeremy, making sure that we get the best possible combination and give everybody a chance.
I want to go back a little bit to what I was saying earlier in regards to the collaboration and all of that. Is if this is a role that we want to collaborate with you on, is producing your own star vehicle something that you're interested in doing, or are you really just looking for a role where you take the opportunity and it's just fill the actor responsibilities and that's kind of where your focus is?
I'm sorry, you said producing my own star vehicle and that sort of thing?
Yeah, we're like I said, because of the indie way that we're putting all this together, everything that's going on, whoever our Tony role is, they're a crucial hands-on element to the success of this project. So we are looking for somebody that is both a collaborator on and off screen with the team, and kind of hands-on with their own project as it being a star vehicle, from a co-producer standpoint, so to speak.
I mean, I find that to be one of the most interesting facets of this character, and I think that it's a huge it's a kind of like a huge opportunity, as well as, you know, very, you know, it's huge shoes to fill. And I mean, I've been so intrigued by it, and I definitely enjoy the social aspect that you guys are including with all the, you know, that you're going to do like on-set streaming days and that sort of thing. And I think it's an awesome opportunity to try and tell a fantastic story with very minimal fat. I mean, your whole thing is shot in the back of a limo or around this car, and
All interior. Yep.
it has to be beyond top notch in order for the project to be as amazing as it can be. And so I think that that's one of the most interesting challenges that would be faced with having a role like that. I think that it's completely unheard of and not as common anymore these days. Movies have become very complicated these days with crazy plots and sci-fi and computer generated graphics and stuff like that to kind of entertain people and very much keep them, you know, watching the shiny red ball, as opposed to this character in this movie, at least in my viewpoint on it, are going to involve a lot of introspection into the human psyche, as well as kind of forcing people to maybe even look into themselves. And that's actually that's why I started acting in the first place, is to kind of, yeah, take people on a journey and tell them a story, but also to kind of move them and to make them think as well, and, you know, consider things. You know, I'm very much in support of, you know, doing pieces that are, you know, social commentary and that sort of thing, because I want to, above all else, I mean, affect positive change in the world. I mean, that's kind of a lofty goal for a movie, but
No,
to
that's
inspire.
exactly what we're trying to do, and that's the kind of mindset that motivated the transparency aspects, the storylines, and all of that. Is that it started bigger than the movie in the first place. The movie is just the central piece of everything we're trying to do.
I mean, I could see that with the process that you said, the transparency and stuff like that you guys started with, is that you guys aren't trying to, you know, hide everything behind closed doors and stuff like that. Everything is out there on the web. If people want to know anything or see any auditions and stuff like that, it's easily accessible. And you guys are keeping people updated as a process as it goes on and stuff. And I mean, I mentioned before, like, that I was, you know, looking into maybe getting into the realm of politics beforehand, and that's kind of one of the things that I really wanted to focus on as a potential politician, was the transparency and just kind of being in a position to do what's right, as opposed to what I might be beholden to groups or financial backers or whatever for. I wanted to, I don't know, I kind of see myself identifying a little bit with Tony, because I would very much face with the moral dilemma of always trying to do what's right, as opposed to what might be like the popular opinion, or what might be the thing to gain me the most success and further my career. And as cockeyed idealist as that might have been for me, it might have been, you know, a very short-lived political career, because I wouldn't play ball with people who are trying my pockets to get the vote. But I would hope that maybe I would go down swinging, and that people would be like, hey, you know, this guy was in and out in a couple years, but he did it, so other people should be doing that too. I mean, it does kind of drive me nuts that our whole political system was developed as a sense of duty to your country. people didn't make careers out of politics. People did it because they were requested to serve their country, and then they would, go do 4 years and then leave. Like,
Yeah.
John Adams, I mean, avoided going to Continental Congresses and stuff like that. He loathed it, but he felt like the stronger sense of like doing what was right by his country and by his family, that he continued to go, and he continued to throw in his sport, cast his vote, and do what would, further the interests of the country as opposed to his own personal selfish interests.
You're dead on with all of that, and that is so much the essence of the Tony character. And to kind of come all the way back around from the John Adams, the modern society, it's almost gone so far the opposite direction that people almost find incomprehensible that you even can do the right thing anymore, or that somebody would in fact do the right thing. And to me, that's been the most frustrating thing about the path of our road, is the skepticism that anybody actually would bother doing the right thing anymore.
Right.
So I have another question for you. As you mentioned, the role is quite big. It would take up about 95% of the movie. How are you on memorization?
I'm actually really, really good at it.
That is
since I was a kid, I've had like an eidetic photographic memory. I mean, I've done a lot of memorizing of things over the past. I still to this day remember one of the things I did when I was in the 8th grade. We had a geography class where we had to put all the states on a map, and then the teacher gave extra credit if you could put the state's capital along with the state. I learned this song that was derived by the Animaniacs, which is a cartoon at the time. Wacko goes through and names to a tune all 50 states and their capitals. And I still to this day still remember the song. And I used that. And then we even had a world map geography test. And I had to put all the countries and their I personally am kind of like one of those people who overachieves, and for all the extra credit, I even put all the capitals of the countries as well. So
how are you not on Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? You would have cleaned up. Oh man.
I wanted to go on that show really, really bad.
That's the time to send a tape in. I tell you what, even in the Midwest, you will pay for the postal just to get that in. Damn.
And I love traveling. What's that?
You were the curve killer in school.
So, what other questions do you have for us about the movie or the character?
The production, it'll be 15 straight days. Well, not straight days. There'll be an off day in there, but it'll be 15 shooting days. It's going to be shot in chronological order, very performance and cinematography based. It's going to be on a single sound stage, so it's not
all here in Los Angeles.
It's not like we got to get 15 pages done by the end of the day. We shoot until the end of the hours, stop where we are, pick up the next day. It'll be edited while it's being made.
Okay.
So we come up with ideas along the way. If there's something we want to try, if there's something we want to backpedal and get over again, all that stuff's very easy to do over the course of the schedule to make sure we have as much coverage as we need on everything.
Okay. Shoot, I did think of a question I was curious about.
Oh, no problem. I just drew a blank a minute ago, so you're good.
No, I'm blanking on it. I was kind of curious.
You got no more questions. You're like, let's just talk. We'll talk.
No, I did have a question about. So you guys were talking about production. Oh, I was kind of curious. What kind of like a release are you guys looking at for this? Are you guys submitting to like the film festival circuit? Are you guys just looking for studio releases, or what's going on?
That's exactly what I was going to explain to buy you a few minutes of time. Ironic. We've got both domestic and foreign kind of sorted out. We've got a sales agent that worked with us on our last film. They can handle all the foreign markets, getting it there and things like that. Domestically, we're working with a company called Tug.com. They're kind of a crowdsourcing theatrical release, so you can set a bunch of screenings in advance and sell tickets to them in the lead up. So while we're making the film and doing all that live streaming and the wrap up shows and all of that, that'll be promoting a release night where there's 200 theater screenings around the country that people can reserve tickets for in advance. And then if they want to see it in theaters afterwards, or they couldn't make that night, people can request additional screenings for that night and beyond in their areas. And the theatrical run will go as long as people are requesting and demanding it. Then on the VOD side, it'd be all the traditionals, iTunes, Amazon, all the anywhere pretty much that you see VOD in the U.S. It would be through all those channels as well. But we would also have some secondary and third channels such as Distrify that allows for affiliate commissions for people. It's basically a YouTube window, but in the window, it's also a storefront where people can buy the digital downloads of the film. They can watch bonus content. They can buy T-shirts. They can buy any of that stuff in the window, and it's shareable and embeddable anywhere on the internet, just like a YouTube video. But anyone that shares and embeds it, they get like a 10 to 15% commission off of any sales through that window. So to promote all of this, we want to go on a 30-day bus tour that would, like, say October 1st is when the movie would be coming out in the theatrical run. September, we would do a bus tour around the country, 20 days or 20 cities, where we would do free screenings for local charities at each one of those events.
Free screenings that would benefit local charities. We're not having it in a local charity. It's an adult-based film.
It'd be
it's not meant for children to watch.
It'd basically be a rolling reality tour on YouTube with the bus and all of that, with each of these 20 charity screenings leading up to the event, where we'd be doing Q&As afterwards. We'd be explaining to people how the Tug screenings are going to work if they want to request them, and kind of just a whole rolling reality bus tour.
Cool. Wow. That's awesome.
That's the plan that we're trying to execute and rally the crowd behind. It's big and kind of overwhelming for people to take in all at once, but that's why we're spending the whole kind of crowdfund campaign educating people and exposing them to the idea and bringing them up to speed on what exactly it is that we're doing, and then kind of hope that over the course of that whole time, the goodwill, the hard work, and all of that comes through in the end.
No, that sounds really, really awesome. One question I'm just curious. Do you guys already have your 3 charities picked out?
No, what we're doing with that is we are leaving it open for the backers, because we know if we choose one charity specifically, that eliminates a lot of people, or they have to specifically want that charity. So with this, we're leaving it open for everyone, and at the end, we'll tell everyone who has the most, and it'll be the top few of those will be the ones that we split the 10% with. And then we would like to have a national charity that has local chapters throughout the country for when we do the tour. But we understand that sometimes that's not possible, or they all don't speak together. So that's, again, it might be suggestions from who the backers were. If there are smaller ones in specific towns, we're going to try and include the cities that have the most people who backed the Indiegogo campaign on the 20-city tour. So therefore, if anyone goes to the free screenings and they do want to make a donation or buy any merchandise, anything like that, all proceeds are going to be going to that local charity right there in town. So they're actually benefiting their own local community, and we're just there giving entertainment and our way of saying thank you for supporting in the first place. This wouldn't have happened without you.
And it's an easy way to promote the film with more content and entertainment that people can watch on YouTube and follow along with.
That's the business side of thinking about it. I'm like,
it's more
the heartwarming.
It's more entertainment content.
We help and give more people. And he's like, yeah, but there's also that side for everyone who's thinking business-wise, the filmmaker side. That part covered too.
But ideally, with the 3 actors would be going on the bus tour with us. They'd be part of the Q&As after the show, who's promoting it, being introduced every single night is the leading man, Tony DeFranco. So, I mean, ideally,
But we understand if some people are booked on other things or it's just impossible to go, but we'd
Well,
like to
no.
include them as much as possible.
In this sense, if we're going to go with an undiscovered name in the Tony role and those type of things, we would want them to be a part of that bus tour and going around and being promoted on stage as a big star and all of that every single night. Basically, that would be the make you a star tour in our eyes and all of that, going around each and every night. By the end of it, the goal is to have it a huge pop culture event with the release and all new style and way of doing film distribution.
Very cool.
Yes. We've got a little bit of time left. Got 3 interviews tonight, wrapping it up. Any final questions, Andrea, Erik? Anything you have for us?
I mean, it's so hard to ask a very transparent production questions because you guys aren't really like hiding anything. So it's like
no, but we have so much stuff out there. Maybe you haven't come across it yet, and we are happy to re-answer.
Some of it's hard to understand because there's just so much and so many different things happening at once.
You might want some clarification. That all that works too.
I mean, honestly, like I like I said, you know, beyond wanting to be able to read the whole script, just because I'm very intrigued by the story in general, where it goes, where it came from, the background of like, I mean, I know it says that he's a whistleblower, but I'm kind of curious as to what he's done and who he's made enemies with and that court kind of thing. And, you know, even the reference to the, you know, the isolated incident from the second round auditions or whatever, still even more curious. I guess I'm mostly curious about Tony and like what he's done and like to know, I'm just intrigued to know like where he comes from and like where he's going and stuff like that with his life. And
I think you could answer that.
I can give you a real world example that would be in line with some of the influences on Tony. Ironically, before the real world example kind of went rogue. Are you familiar with Russell Brand?
Yes.
In the past year, 2 years, you're familiar with, he's become very outspoken with the way the world operates, the way the political systems are structured, the way the media manipulates the masses. He started this True News YouTube channel and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Brand is becoming a very outspoken person that pushes the envelope probably closer to any celeb right now to saying the things that very powerful people don't want being said. At the same time, he's also got a very personally troubled background. He's self-admitted, he was a drug addict, a womanizer, he's a comedian, all sorts of things the average mom and pop from the Midwest can say, oh, this guy can't speak for us. This guy's, his message doesn't mean anything and has no value. He used to be a drug addict, all that type of stuff. And he's also the same type of personality that if any of us woke up the next day and saw in the paper that, oh, Russell Brand relapsed and had a drug overdose, would we really be that surprised? So he's kind of being very, very bold in the path that he's taking because he's the type of person that is so easy to make disappear. And in that sense, Tony's kind of always understood that his personal life is a disaster and a mess, and it can't influence the causes and the things that he fights for and struggles for. But over that kind of penultimate moment, he has to start realizing that these battles can't be fought from anonymity. At a certain point in time, you have to put your name and your beliefs and your face behind what you stand for, or people are never going to follow what you're doing. So that's a lot of the themes and undertones of where Tony's at with all of that. But Russell Brand would be a great example of kind of the parallels in between the two.
Still being cryptic. You weren't specific enough to the like. That's like the underlying that doesn't.
Well, there's transparency for the sake of accountability, and then there's transparency just being an asshole and dishing out spoilers.
In other words, he's waiting until the 4th round to be like, dude, we will Google Hangouts this so hard.
I'm trying to give as much information as possible without giving away crucial elements of the story. But yes, you will be able to read the script before round 4 begins.
And ask Chris every question You can go line through line with him and then get all the details.
So we've got just a few minutes left here, and Andrea has her final wrap-up question.
Oh, well, did you have any other questions for us?
No, I mean, I think you guys have covered everything I was curious about and asking. So do you guys have any final questions for me?
I have one final question
Andrew's got
for
the wrap-up
you.
question.
This is my inside the actor studio question. Since acting is your life now, and this is your profession of choice, at what point will you have found success? Is it when you hit a level of fame, fortune, a certain kind of role you can always demand? When will you know you've hit success and we can all join in the happy dance with you?
It's kind of interesting. When I told my parents I was moving out here, they were like up in arms of the fact that I had quit a very stable job. I mean, their generation in the Midwest is in the mentality of, you know, get a stable career, stay in that career for 30, 35 years, you know, be married, have kids, retire and stuff like that. They were up in arms that I would leave such security for such a hard, difficult profession, and not necessarily in the sense that I wasn't necessarily good at it, because my parents have always faithfully been strong supporters of me. They were more so concerned of the fact that it's a hard, grueling lifestyle, and you have to break in, and you have to, you know, put your nose to the grindstone and stuff like that. Not just once or twice, but like every day, because every single time that you're done shooting something, you're back at square one, and you are auditioning and essentially interviewing for a new job every single time. You don't have the same job year to year, maybe, unless you jump on a series. So I got that it was coming out of a place of love, but my response to them was simply, I don't care about the, you know, amount of money I'm making, the benefits I'm getting, that sort of thing, because I'm miserable. I feel like something is missing from my life. And so if I can go out and act, I don't care if I make more than enough to just cover my bills and live comfortably. As long as I have a roof over my head and food in my belly, and I can, you know, do the things on the side that I love, because family is very important to me. So I go back to visit 2 times a year. And I love traveling. Traveling is very, very important to me too, because I feel like it's a necessary component of the human condition to understand different walks of life and different mentalities. I feel like a lot of people who never go outside the US never get outside the US mentality of things, and don't realize that there's, you know, 183 different countries and so many different ways of looking at things and approaching different problems. And so as long as I can do those things, I will be happy. And honestly, that's honestly been my litmus test of success, is once I get to that point where I can just pay my bills strictly from acting work, that will be enough success for me to feel fulfilled as a person, human being. My loftier goals in life are, eventually I would love to be able to achieve a level of fame. And once again, it doesn't necessarily have to walk hand in hand with money. I would love to be able to achieve a level of fame where my name would matter to people and my opinion would matter, and I could inspire change. The whole thing I ever wanted to do with politics was to inspire change, because there's a lot of things wrong with our world and even like our political system in general. And I would love to be able to use acting and my name that I may have built with the career, to use that as some sort of a platform to try and not necessarily even make people make a decision either way, but to make people think about things. Because I feel a lot of times people don't necessarily put the amount of time and thought that some decisions require, or necessarily that they are even given both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times media can make things one-sided for people and kind of lead people to think, oh my God, this is the only way things are happening. when they don't realize that there is a whole different ballgame out there, unless, you know, they do things like travel or read or keep up on news and going on in other countries and stuff like that. So that for me embodies the shell of success. It's never been about money or toys or fame and fortune. It's just kind of been about being a source of inspiration, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly what inspires me with everything we're doing and all of that. I call it rabbit holes. I want to use my art and stories to open rabbit holes that people fall down and go stumbling for more information themselves and educate themselves on these type of things, but they're exposed to it and their curiosity is intrigued through the art and the stories.
It's totally true. It's very, very real world example of things.
We're wrapping up here. We got a few minutes. We got to go and talk to Ali Bavarian next. We're going to be making the decisions over the next week here. Actually, over the next few days and the next 7 days, we're going to be announcing everybody one person a day.
And then the last 2 or 3 on
next Wednesday. The script will be dished out to everyone that goes on to round 4. You have a little bit of time to read it before we set up the social table read. Anything else before we wrap up and turn the AC on?
Thank you, Eric. Thank you so much. We really enjoyed talking with you.
Eric, that's what I forgot to say.
Can you hear us?
Oh, is he still there?
I think you're. No, I can see you moving.
What's that?
Please consider us.
I can hear you guys, but you guys froze again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't worry about the video. We're wrapping up. Please consider us friends and allies and agents of change with you. That's kind of our primary motivation and what we're looking to do. And with the whole casting process, we love that everybody collaborated with us and was a part of it. So no matter what happens, we want to support what you're doing, the horror film that you're in, all of that. Again, please consider us allies and supporters in the change that you're trying to be.
The feeling's mutual, of course.
Exactly. That's what we're trying to do. Make sure that everyone knows we support them, and we are so happy that you've even participated and came this far, and we are more than happy to be letting you know in the future. Yeah. All right.
Thanks to you guys, of course. So, good luck with everything. Good luck with the rest of you guys' interviews.
Thank you so much, Eric. Have a good night, and everyone else, we'll see you in just a few minutes with Ollie.
Take care.